It does not end with a fight. It does not end with yelling. Most relationships die quietly. Silently. Slowly. The messages get shorter. The laughs fade faster. The warmth disappears before you notice it is gone. And by the time the cold shows up, the damage is already done. At first, nothing feels wrong. There is no big problem to point at. No betrayal. No explosion. Just distance. Silence replaces curiosity. Comfort replaces effort. And routine replaces desire. This is how most relationships begin to end. At the beginning, communication feels effortless. You want to talk. You want to listen. Time disappears when you are together. Then life gets louder. Stress grows. Responsibilities pile up. Energy drops. You stop sharing small details. You stop asking deeper questions. You assume instead of checking. And slowly, the relationship becomes quiet. Quiet does not mean peaceful. Quiet means something is being avoided. Psychology shows that emotional withdrawal often starts long before physical distance. When someone feels unseen, unheard, or unappreciated, the nervous system shifts into protection mode. They stop expressing needs. They stop risking rejection. They stop initiating connection. Not because they do not care, but because caring feels unsafe. Men experience this differently than they admit. A man often responds to emotional tension by pulling inward. He focuses on work, distractions, goals. It looks like strength. But inside, it is confusion. He senses the change but cannot explain it. He feels pressure without understanding why. So, he becomes quieter too. Now both people are silent. And neither knows how to restart the conversation. This is where relationships freeze. Silence becomes normal. Less touch feels acceptable. Less eye contact feels ordinary. The brain adapts quickly. What once felt wrong starts to feel familiar. And familiarity kills urgency. Neuroscience explains this pattern clearly. The brain prioritizes emotional safety over emotional growth. If past attempts to connect felt dismissed or misunderstood, the brain learns to avoid effort. Avoidance feels calm. But it is a false calm. Underneath that calm is resentment building quietly. Resentment does not always sound angry. Sometimes it sounds tired. It sounds like short replies. Late responses. A lack of interest in fixing things. This is when people start saying things like everything is fine. But their behavior says something else. Relationships do not collapse from hate. They collapse from neglect. Emotional neglect is subtle. It happens when attention disappears. When validation dries up. When appreciation becomes rare. Humans are wired to seek connection. When connection fades, the mind fills the gap with stories. He does not care anymore. She is losing interest. I am not enough. These stories become beliefs. Beliefs shape behavior. Behavior creates distance. Now the relationship feels cold. Cold does not happen overnight. Cold is the final stage. Before coldness, there is numbness. Numbness is dangerous because it feels stable. No fights. No drama. Just emptiness. People mistake numbness for maturity. They say things like we are just comfortable. But comfort without connection is decay. Desire fades when polarity disappears. Polarity disappears when effort disappears. Psychological attraction requires emotional presence. Not perfection. Presence. Being present means listening without planning your reply. It means noticing small changes in tone. It means caring about how the other person feels today. When presence disappears, the relationship becomes mechanical. Good morning becomes routine. How was your day becoming automatic? I love you loses weight. The body notices this before the mind does. Touch feels less frequent. Sex feels scheduled. Kisses feel shorter. Biology responds to emotional signals. Oxytocin decreases when affection fades. Dopamine drops when novelty disappears. What remains is habit. Habit alone cannot sustain intimacy. This is where many men get confused. They believe providing stability is enough. They believe consistency replaces connection. But emotional attraction is not logical. It is responsive. A woman does not pull away because stability is boring. She pulls away when she feels emotionally alone. And men often feel that withdrawal without understanding its cause. So, they work harder. Or detach further. Both responses miss the real issue. The issue is not effort in general. It is targeted effort. The quiet phase is actually a signal. A warning sign. A final opportunity. Silence is the body saying something is wrong. If addressed early, quiet can be reversed. But it requires courage. It requires asking uncomfortable questions. It requires listening without defending. It requires slowing down instead of powering through. The hardest part is that fixing quiet does not involve grand gestures. It involves consistency. Checking in emotionally. Expressing appreciation daily. Creating space for honesty. Most people wait until the cold arrives. By then, emotional walls are thick. Once someone emotionally detaches, reconnecting feels risky. They fear reopening pain. So, they stay distant. This is why breakups often feel sudden. But they were not sudden. They were delayed. The quiet phase lasted months or years. Ignored. Minimized. Dismissed. Strong relationships are not loud. But they are alive. There is curiosity. There is playfulness. There is emotional movement. Silence without warmth is stagnation. If you notice quiet, do not panic. But do not ignore it. Quiet means something needs attention. Ask better questions. How are you really feeling lately? Is there anything you have been holding back? Listen without fixing. Presence repairs more than advice ever will. Relationships survive when both people feel seen. Not controlled. Not corrected. Seen. Cold relationships feel empty because connection has already left the room. The door did not slam. It slowly closed. Pay attention while it is still open.